much change in your voice that you even had to do?
Well, Kaiba's not that far away from the way I talk. He's just kind of, you know, whispery. He's got his whispery like thing, and he's just, I'm as sarcastic as he is. So that comes very organically for me. And in high school, I mean, I definitely was distracted by shiny things like pretty girls, like Brock. So that was easy too, in terms of his character. But there's a little bit of me in all of those characters. I mean, I think a good actor tries to do that, tries to make it so that it is a credible performance. What you don't want is to think this actor is putting on a voice. Especially in voice acting, what you want to feel like is, that actor convinced me. I'm no longer paying attention to who's playing it. I'm paying attention to the actor. I've seen some incredible performances where at the end, you know, after 5 minutes, you're like, I believe this is this person. And it's the same with the voice acting thing. You want to add those elements of reality to it so that the listener or someone watching your cartoon character is not saying, oh, that's Eric Stewart playing that role, but that's James, or that's Brock. And the only way to do that is to add in your own personality, the things that are legit. I mean, honestly, if you're even thinking about being an actor, and especially a voice actor, you focus on who you are, your voice. It's not about funny voices. I've had much more of a career talking in my real voice in terms of monetary success. As much as the cartoons I've worked on and all of that sort of stuff, in the commercial world, I talk like this. That's it. But it's the acting, it's the credibility. If you can talk about something as if you know what you're talking about, even when you don't, then you get work. It's not, I put on a funny voice, and that's why I'm getting work. No. Because there's a lot of people that can do great voices who are terrible actors. You see people that impersonate, that do a tremendous amount of impersonations. They'll say lines from movies. You'll be like, wow, that guy sounds just like De Niro. Wow, that guy sounds just like, you know, Christopher Walken. Please don't do any Christopher Walken for me. I don't want to hear it. But give them a script and say, can you read this like you? But you're a guy on a mountaintop and this is what's going on. And they're like, oh, I'm not an actor. I have a good ear. I can impersonate you. Big deal. I'd much rather you're successful with your own voice interpreting something than that you can imitate stars. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question. Yeah?
Me again. I don't know if you can answer this one, but I know some voice actors, they almost seem to have like a second name. Like Megan Hollingshead, she has that name.
An alias.
Sometimes she goes, yeah, like Karen Thompson. Is there a certain reason why maybe they do that at all?
Yes. So, back when I started working in anime, SAG, the union, and AFTRA, now they're together, they're SAG-AFTRA, which just sounds so great, didn't even address the category of dubbing. They did with looping. The difference is looping is like live action, right? In a movie, where a car drove by when someone was saying something, so they need to bring the actor back in and replace the dialogue, or it needs to air on television and they need an actor to come in and replace all of the curse words that they say on Die Hard, so they can say like Mr. Feathers instead of something else, right? Yeah, things like that. But there was no category for how to handle the contract for dubbing to videotape for cartoons, because there wasn't that much of it. But a lot of the actors feared if they were in the union, and some of those people that use other names weren't even in the union, but they wanted to be in the union. I'm a union actor. But all of those cartoons paid non-union. So they used aliases so that they wouldn't get in trouble with the union. But as a producer of these shows, I would even call the union and say, I'm working on a new show. The client would like to go through the union. Can you provide me with a contract? And they'd say, we don't have one. Up until recently, I worked on a movie recently where I was directing it, and it was a SAG, they wanted a SAG contract. It almost delayed production of dubbing because SAG could not get me a contract. It took 3 or 4 weeks before someone actually gave me something that fit that category. So that's why those people have aliases. But what's interesting is a lot of them became famous with those names and now are starting to do conventions and realize that it wasn't that big a deal. And they're like, well, no, I'm not really John Smith, I'm so-and-so. It's like, I'm so confused. But for me, I always wanted to be known. So it didn't matter to me. And if you look at the first year of when Pokemon first came out, you had to dig and dig and dig to find out who was in that cast, except for me. Because I made it very clear. That first year when Pokemon the movie first came out, I was on tour. And I wanted to get airplay. We were on a big tour, and they still wouldn't even like take the phone call. They wouldn't play our music. I think that was the year, I think it was the first year I went out with Frampton. And it was like, I'm on this major tour. Yeah, but we'll only play stuff that's in the format. And I said, really? Do you want to talk to the voice of Brock and James from Pokemon? And they'd be like, yeah. I was like, so if you have me on your morning show, I'll do your morning show, but you got to play the Eric Stewart Band on your show. And they'd say, okay. So I knew that using an alias would be a stupid thing. I wanted it to be very clear that I was, and also you got to remember, when production companies keep people anonymous, they can easily be replaced because the fans don't know who they are. And if they are successful, those actors can come back and say, do you want me back on the show? You need to pay me more. Or not, because you're known. So it's not the best political move to be anonymous, especially in the voiceover business, where pretty much most of the guys that I work with that are my friends, we can all imitate each other. All of us. No one is sort of, irreplaceable. And when you know that, you want to make sure that you know, it's me, I'm the guy. So that at least, but that's why those people have different names. That's what aliases are. All right, we got a couple more minutes, yeah?